Caitlyn Clark got mugged on national TV by Paige Bueckers and the Dallas Wings, and her own coach didn't even flinch. No timeout, no words with the refs, nothing. And her fans are furious. Just stood there while Kelsey Mitchell padded a scoring streak in a game the Fever needed to win. Stick around, because by the end of this video, you'll understand why Stephanie White might not even be the head coach of this team much longer, as the Fever already secretly hired someone lined up to take her spot. Do you think the Indiana Fever will finally fire Stephanie White? Let me know down in the comments below.
Fans aren't happy. Caitlyn Clark fans aren't happy. They saw what the game plan was yesterday. Feed the ball to Kelsey Mitchell, and only Kelsey Mitchell. Caitlyn Clark, not the focal point in the offense. No transition offense. Fans are not happy the morning after.
Let's talk about what actually happened to Caitlyn Clark, because calling it physical defense is being way too kind. Odyssey Sims grabbed her, shoved her, and at one point tackled her straight to the floor, leaving Clark clutching her knee on national television. Paige Bueckers got in on it too, bumping and hand-checking Clark possession after possession without a single whistle. This wasn't some late-night matchup nobody saw. This game aired in front of a national audience, so every grab, every shove, every non-call happened right in front of everyone's eyes.
She doesn't play this way. Let's get into the mugging of Caitlyn Clark tonight. We're going to get into her highlights, but look at this. She got hit in the throat. How many games in a row is this that she's been hit in the dang throat? Like, this is crazy. Look, it just throws her body at Caitlyn Clark. Like, she can only take so many hits and then just tackled. Like, Caitlyn Clark needs to wear football pads, helmet, everything. That's a football tackle. It's obvious.
And that's what makes this so hard to swallow. People keep saying stuff like this happens in the shadows, but it doesn't. It happened live, in HD, with commentators watching it unfold in real time. Sims in particular looked like she was playing a different sport altogether, using her body to bump Clark off her spot, then reaching in for the ball like the referees weren't even in the building. Bueckers matched that energy, throwing her forearm into Clark's back on drives and getting away with it possession after possession. The contact looked more like a linebacker closing in on a quarterback than a defender guarding a point guard.
And this has happened her whole career. It's not a surprise. And the ref doesn't call a foul. Paige Bueckers is trying to do a take foul, grabs her arm, then pushes her, and the ref seems to call it now. So you missed a grab and a push in the back. And this is how she was defended the entire night. Grabbed her arm, Caitlyn Clark's trying to push it off of her. Grabs her arm, Caitlyn Clark pushes it off of her. Like, you can't not miss it. Like, the refs just hate her.
Despite getting hit over and over, Clark stayed out there and kept trying to make plays happen for her team. She finished with 10 points and 9 assists, but shot just 4 for 15 from the field and 2 for 8 from 3. Numbers that tell you she never found any rhythm. She attempted 1 free throw the entire game. 1. For a player getting hammered on drive after drive, that number alone tells you everything about how this game got officiated.
Caitlyn Clark was up against the referees. She was getting grabbed, hit in the throat, tackled like a football player, and the refs don't do anything about it. So it's kind of hard to succeed when that stuff's happening.
Look at the rest of the box score, and you'll see the Fever trying to scrap together offense while their point guard got hunted on defense. Aaliyah Boston put up 14 points and 9 rebounds, doing her usual work in the paint. Lexi Hull chipped in 9 points, hustling for every one of them. Sophie Cunningham couldn't buy a bucket, going scoreless on 0 for 4 shooting, and the bench as a whole scored just 4 points combined. That's a team leaning hard on 1 or 2 scores while their franchise player absorbed contact that would have drawn a flag in an NFL game.
She got 1 free throw, and it wasn't because of basketball. It was a deep defensive 3 seconds. Grabs her arm again. Like, this is the Odyssey Sims defense against her. That's a foul. This is a reach-in foul. It's a turnover on the stat sheet. But anybody would be able to steal the ball if you're able to ram your shoulder and your arm all the way through their body. Like, it's an obvious foul.
Cameras caught Clark wincing after plays, shaking out her arm, grimacing as she jogged back down the floor. And every single time, no whistle, no timeout from the bench, no assistant standing up to say something to the officials. Just silence, like everybody on that Fever sideline decided this was normal. Linda Cohn didn't stay quiet about it. The longtime ESPN anchor reacted to a viral clip of the non-calls and wrote that there's no end in sight and that it's actually getting worse. She pointed to a sequence where Clark got fouled multiple times on a single possession with 0 whistles, then got called for a foul herself on the very next defensive possession over what looked like nothing. That's the kind of imbalance fans have been screaming about for over a year now.
You know, the WNBA gets an A for ignoring the obvious and slaying the golden goose yet again. Why does it sometimes feel like parts of the WNBA media are fighting against their biggest attraction? Yeah, the biggest attraction is Caitlyn Clark.
So the question going around online right now is simple. How many times does the best player in the league have to get hit before somebody with a title and a microphone says something about it? Because looking at the pattern from this season, this wasn't a one-game fluke. It's part of something that's followed Clark all year. And the silence from the Fever bench during all of it says just as much as the missed calls themselves.
Stephanie White in Caitlyn Clark's ear once again, just annoying her as usual. In her ear, Caitlyn don't want to hear a goddamn word you're talking about. Like a goddamn word you're talking about. It just walks right off. Like, shut it up, man. And look at twitching. He once again twitching. Like, who wants a coach that's twitching like this? Honestly, look at, like, who wants a coach twitching like this?
The image that fans can't shake from this game is Stephanie White just standing there, arms crossed, face blank, watching her franchise player get shoved around the paint without calling a single timeout or saying one word to the officials. That's the job, though, right? Protecting your best player, especially the one who sells out every road arena the Fever play in and moves the needle for the entire league. Instead, we got silence from the sideline while Clark took hit after hit.
Go to hell, Steph. Love will win. That's why we lost yesterday. Seriously. That's probably why we lost yesterday. We didn't have enough love on the court. We didn't have enough love on the court, not enough grace on the court, not enough humility on the court. That's why we lost. And if you disagree, you know what you can do for me?
Go to hell.
Damn, Stephanie White coming out of nowhere, coming off the top rope.
Think about what a normal coach does in that spot. You call timeout to stop the bleeding and give your point guard a breather. You walk over to the official and ask why your star hasn't seen the free throw line all night. You sub in an enforcer, someone like Myisha Hines-Allen, just to send a message that your team isn't going to keep absorbing contact for free. White did none of that. She let the game keep rolling possession after possession. And while Clark kept eating contact with no whistle, Kelsey Mitchell kept hunting shots on the other end, climbing toward a 37-point night and that all-time streak record.
And even worse, she's leaning towards a coach who is openly sabotaging Caitlyn Clark, allegedly. So this wasn't just about what Kelsey Mitchell scored tonight. It's about what Kelsey gave up, how she played within the offense, and how often she prioritized getting her own points over creating advantages for everybody else.
And that's where the offense really falls apart. Because look at how those possessions actually got run. Instead of putting the ball in Clark's hands and letting her pick apart the defense with her passing, Indiana kept clearing out for Mitchell isolations again and again. Clark is the best passer on this roster, maybe the best in the league, and she spent stretches of this game just standing in the corner watching Mitchell go one-on-one against a set defense. A real hub offense with Aaliyah Boston at the elbow is supposed to create movement. Boston catches at the foul line, cutters run off her, shooters relocate, and Clark comes off real screens to either shoot or find the next pass. That's what makes this offense hum when it's working. This game, that structure never showed up. Boston caught the ball at the elbow and mostly just held it, waiting for something to develop that never did, while Clark stood around with no screens coming her way at all.
Kelsey Mitchell tried dribbling. There was gap help here. You can clearly see there's gap help there. There's nothing here for Kelsey Mitchell. Aaliyah Boston, no screen has been set. Everybody's stagnant. CC is on top of Kelsey. Lexi's in the corner spaced out. KK can't shoot on the weak side. Aaliyah's on top of Kelsey. There's no advantage being created. Aaliyah gets back door and Kelsey just throws it up, and by just some lucky chance, they got bailed out by the whistle. By some lucky chance, you got bailed out by the whistle. You haven't set a screen. You haven't created an advantage. That's not something sustainable. That's not something you can repeat the next play.
People online aren't being shy about what they think is going on here. The accusation spreading across social media is that White wasn't coaching to win. She was coaching to get Mitchell her milestone, and the box score backs that read up. When your point guard attempts one free throw all game and your offense runs through isolation possessions for one player instead of ball movement, that's not an accident. That's a play call. This isn't just a one-game thing either. Fans have pointed out all season that Clark gets fewer called plays for her, fewer real ball screens set for her, more possessions where she just stands and watches Mitchell operate one-on-one. It's a pattern that's followed this team since the opening weeks of the season, and this game against Dallas just put it on national television for everyone to see clearly.
Stephanie White's rhythm-killing, circle the wagons offense sucks. Stephanie White's rhythm-killing, circle the wagons offense sucks. But at least Kelsey got her points. We have been teaspooned. Got a generational point guard and got her running in circles setting screens. Holy shit. And a center that plays out of position and has no rim defense.
So what was White actually doing schematically while Clark got left standing without the ball in her hands? She built her offense around isolation touches for one player instead of ball movement that gets everybody involved, and that decision lines up directly with the L on the scoreboard. Indiana didn't lose this game because Dallas was unstoppable. They lost because their own coach ran an offense that took the ball out of their franchise players' hands at the exact moments it mattered most. Now the question becomes whether that's just bad coaching, or whether it's something the front office already saw coming long before this game ever happened. 37 points, 21 straight games scoring 20 or more, an all-time WNBA record, and Kelsey Mitchell's name is now in the history books forever. On paper, that sounds like a great story, a beloved veteran putting up a number nobody in league history has ever touched. And normally that's the kind of night you celebrate without asking a single question.
All right, guys, so the agenda is in full effect and it's unfolding and taking place right before our eyes. Operation Kelsey's World, Operation Stephanie White trying to get Kelsey Mitchell MVP. This entire thing is about Kelsey in this scoring streak, and she's played really well, but you can look at the last few games. You can tell the whole thing has been about Kelsey Mitchell keeping his scoring streak.
But dig into how that streak actually happened, and the story changes fast. Every one of those shots Mitchell hunted down the stretch came from somewhere, and in this game it came directly out of Clark's hands and out of the flow of the offense as a whole. Instead of ball movement that puts pressure on a defense and forces mistakes, Indiana ran possession after possession designed to get Mitchell a look, even when the defense knew exactly what was coming. That's not an offense working the way it should. That's one player's shot total climbing while the team around her stalls out. And Dallas made Indiana pay for playing that one-dimensional. 4 separate scorers did damage for Dallas, while Indiana leaned on one player chasing history. When one team spreads the ball around and the other keeps feeding a single scorer, the team with more options wins that game almost every time. That's basic basketball, and it's exactly what played out on the scoreboard.
They force-fed her when she was stuck at 18. They force-fed her for an entire fourth quarter and overtime to get her to 20. And it continued on through the last game, and it's continued on through the game versus the Dallas Wings, where essentially pretty much every single play was run for Kelsey Mitchell while she was on the floor. And you got Stephanie White and Kelsey Mitchell celebrating even during a loss her scoring streak because essentially that is what the season is about at this point. It's about the scoring streak and, you know, trying to get Kelsey Mitchell an MVP.
So why does a coach chase a personal record in a game her team absolutely needs to win? That's the question fans can't get past. Every timeout, every substitution, every play call is a decision. And when the pattern points toward getting one player a milestone instead of generating stops and finding easy buckets for the team, that's a priority problem sitting right on the sideline. Online, people aren't holding back on what they think this actually is. The word going around is stat padding, and plenty of fans are calling it straight-up sabotage, accusing White of caring more about padding a legacy moment than putting Indiana in position to win. Whether or not that's exactly what happened in White's head, the box score gives that argument plenty of fuel to work with.
Kelsey, obviously not the result you all wanted, but personally you set the record for consecutive 20-point games tonight. Can you just go through your last couple days that have been kind of, up and
Just celebrate. We lost, but hey, let's just celebrate the scoring streak. This is all that matters.
down after Toronto, and then what's it mean to set that?
I think that it's a part of the game. So for one, I just want to, congratulate my team for making me look good.
Stephanie White running every play for you, but you a baller. You get your buckets, but Stephanie White has completely catered the entire offense to Kelsey Mitchell.
None of this is about blaming Mitchell, because she didn't call her own plays and she didn't design the offense that kept feeding her touches. She's a great scorer who's earned everything she's built over her career in Indiana, and nobody's mad at her for taking the shots her coach drew up for her. The criticism belongs on White for building a game plan around one storyline instead of the win column. And while all the headlines chased Mitchell's record, the bench scored only 4 points combined, and nobody outside of the box score seemed to notice or care, because the record chase buried every other storyline from this game before it even ended. Line up the shot attempts, the touches, and the lack of movement, and the box score tells you exactly what happened here. Indiana's offense got built around feeding one player toward a milestone instead of creating the ball movement that wins games in this league. And if fans caught on to this pattern watching from home, you can bet the people running this franchise noticed it a long time ago.
There's no pick and roll action, which is the main strength of Caitlyn Clark's game. Caitlyn Clark has been forced to be an ISO scorer, and she's so good, she's gotten good at it, but that's not the bread and butter of her game. The bread and butter of her game is the ball screen action, and it's been completely eliminated to suit what Kelsey Mitchell essentially does best.
Here's the reveal fans have been waiting on. While Stephanie White stood on that sideline chasing Kelsey Mitchell's record instead of the win, the Fever front office was already working on a plan that doesn't have White's name in it long term. That's not speculation. That's what a quiet coaching hire looks like when you read between the lines of it. Indiana brought in Gary Kloppenberg as an assistant coach, and on the surface, that looks like a normal roster move you'd scroll right past. But insiders around the league are reading this as the first domino, the kind of hire teams make when they're already planning for a bigger change behind the scenes. Front offices don't add coaching pieces like this just to fill out a bench. They do it when they're building towards something, and after a season full of complaints about how Clark gets used, this hire lines up perfectly with that timeline.
So the Indiana Fever have brought in a championship-winning coach as basically a coaching consultant, is it? A coaching advisor.
Think about everything that's piled up around White's offense all year. The missing ball screens for Clark, the Boston hub that stalls out instead of creating movement, the possessions where Clark just stands and watches instead of touching the ball. Add in what just happened against Dallas, an offense that ran through Mitchell isolations while the best passer in the league got left standing in the corner, and you've got a front office with a stack of evidence that something isn't working the way it should. So picture what a real offense built around Clark actually looks like. Real pick and roll reps where Clark works off a screen from Boston and reads the defense instead of picking a spot and hoping. Cutting actions off the ball so Clark isn't standing still waiting for a play to develop. Shared ball handling with Mitchell, where both of them create instead of one going one-on-one while the other watches. That's not a complicated system to install. It's just basic modern offense that half the league already runs without thinking twice about it.
At least Mitchell kept her streak alive. Clearly, that's White's main priority. Cheers to everybody out there. This was all about Kelsey Mitchell from the get-go. She's such a ball hog, never pass the ball to any of her open teammates as long as she stacks her point total. Damn. Ugly Stephanie White ball again. Cece was getting too hot. Your coach had to put her in her place again.
And that's what makes Indiana's scheme look so far behind by comparison. Teams like Las Vegas and New York run pick-and-roll actions constantly, using their stars and ball screens over and over because it forces defenses to make impossible choices. Indiana, with arguably the best passer and scorer combination in the league sitting right there in Clark and Mitchell, ran ISO-heavy sets that let defenses load up on one side of the floor without any real cost. That gap in scheme quality isn't small, and it's not something that fixes itself without a change in who's calling the plays. Front offices protect investments, and Clark is worth more to this franchise and this league than any coach's job security ever will be. Every arena she plays in sells out, every jersey with her name on it moves off shelves, and the league's TV deals are shaped around her presence on the floor. When a coach's system gets in the way of that investment growing the way it should, the coach becomes the expendable piece, not the player driving the business. So this hire signals something the Fever aren't saying publicly yet, but the timing tells the story anyway. White's seat looks a lot warmer than the team wants to admit, and if a change comes, Clark's role in this offense would look completely different overnight. Real screens, shared playmaking, and touches that actually match what she can do on a basketball court. All of it lines up with one season left before Indiana has to prove they're building around Clark the right way. Strip away all the noise and one plain fact sits there. Clark took a beating on that floor for 40 minutes, and the coach whose job is protecting her never lifted a finger to stop it. The front office noticed long before the fans did, and that new hire proves it. This isn't the end of this story. It's the start of a shakeup that finally hands Clark a system built for her. Picture the 2026 playoffs. Clark running real ball screens. Boston anchoring an offense that actually moves. Mitchell and Clark sharing the ball instead of fighting over it. A championship that finally feels real. Do you think the Indiana Fever will finally fire Stephanie White? Let me know down in the comments below. And don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on all notifications as we're bringing you all the action and top stories. Click the video on the screen, and we'll see you in the next one.